this via the Grapevine Live, sponsored by Valpre Spring Water. It's great tasting water while enjoying the great moments in life. My name is Guy McDonald, and I'm the host of via the grapevine.co.za, where we engage with winemakers across South Africa, specifically South Africa, because I'm too dumb to know anything about wine outside of South Africa. And that's why tonight I'm quite excited, because Italy has arrived in South Africa, and we'll find out more about that. So I get a little bit of education, and you as well get to learn with me. So tonight is really about learning, about swirling, about sniffing and sipping and asking and booking for the next one. So please feel free to hop onto social media and share any photographs, any videos, which I see the lovely ladies taking. Thank you very much. And tag us, very important. On Instagram, you can tag us at via_the_grapevine. So via the grapevine. So at via_the_grapevine. And please tag at Nomoya Wines. The name is on the banner behind me and on the price sheet, so you can't get the spelling wrong. All one word, Nomoya Wines. And then on Facebook, please tag via the Grapevine SA and Nomoya Wines. And across both platforms, you're more than welcome to use the hashtag via the Grapevine. I have to share that because some of us are very social media savvy, and other people don't really care and aren't even going to use their phones tonight. Don't follow my eyes. I'm joking. It's lovely to have each and every one of you here. And there's a couple of notes I want to share. The first is that the toilet is just around the corner here. There is literally only one. So if you're conniping, don't go. If you feel I need the loo, go to the loo, because don't feel you must wait for a moment. There might be other people joining you in the queue. Your phones, please keep them on, photos and videos. Gents, you can put yours on silent, please, Scott. Ladies, keep yours on vibrate if you want. And then purchase wine tonight. You can purchase by the bottle, and you can purchase by the case if you so feel. So our winemaker tonight is the lovely Michaela Sfiligoi. She's from Nomoya Wines. Please give her a warm welcome.
Thank you.
Nomoya Wines, a wine company, I believe, that was born out of COVID, really. And that's interesting because it was a time when many companies were closing and they were initiating a new project, which is absolutely fantastic. And Michaela is one of its 3 founding members. So let's start with the name, Michaela. Nomoya, why and how did you arrive at that name?
Nomoya is a Xhosa word, which means from the windy place. So we established a company in a moment where everybody was, storming around what is going to happen in the future. Same for us. So we were coming out from 17 years of being in the Paardeberg, owning a farm together with some other shareholders. But then me and Attilio decided that we wanted to have some dreams becoming true before, we getting too old, because we are not young chappies anymore. And Talia, this beautiful girl, beautiful woman, passionate viticulturist, she was our farm manager for 5 years. So together we decided, let's start something together where our passion can come out in a different way, instead of having, a big farm and 24/7, 365 days on the farm.
The third partner in the business, who is that?
Well, my husband. My husband is, his name is Attilio.
He's an agronomist.
Agronomist.
Can we stop here? Does anyone know? Must you probably do. Agronomist. Does anyone know what that is? Neither did I had to look it up. Kayla will tell us.
Yeah, well, my husband is always joking because, when he has these nice ladies around him, he says he's a doctor. So, but he admits that he's a doctor in agriculture. So if somebody, needs attention, it's not the proper attention, because he knows everything about plants, everything about cows, everything about nature in general, but not human beings, sickness.
Not woman nature.
No, well.
He's still learning that one.
Yeah.
So I believe that we have you and Attilio to thank for introducing Vermentino to South Africa. Is that correct?
Yes, I'm very proud to say so.
And we're going to taste that wine tonight. Vermentino is underrated, I believe, because it's got a great resistance to heat. Imagine that. Perfect variety for South Africa, isn't it?
Well, we were looking for an Italian variety here to grow in South Africa, and we couldn't find. There is no whites actually. The only one now is Vermentino. There was no white variety in South Africa already from Italy, so we went the long way of bringing a new cultivar to South Africa, which means. Now I'm going to bore you a bit, but it's quite important to understand that South Africa is a beautiful country for many aspects. One is protecting what we have in this country very strongly. So if you want to bring a new plant, a new vine, you need to go through a long process, which is you are allowed to bring little cuts, six cuts of the vine, existing wherever you're bringing it from. It needs to be certified already from the origin, means they need to go through all the checks if it's virus free and whatever. It needs to grow, these 6 little buds needs to grow for 2 years under quarantine and observation, Department of Agriculture. Now you understand that Italy and South Africa, the seasons are the other way around. So we lost 6 months one side and 6 months this side. So it's 3 years actually. After 3 years, they check the plants and they actually say it's virus free, then you can go ahead, or it's rejected and you need to destroy it. So we got to go ahead after 3 years and we could propagate, which means from these vines that grew, we could make other cuttings and graft and make vines. To make enough vines for an hectare, which is about 4,000 vines, took us another 3 years. Agriculture is a matter of...
You hear how emotional she's getting.
Yeah. Agriculture is a matter of passion, a matter of, long wait for some results. So another 3 years, then we could plant. We planted the first hectare of Vermentino in South Africa in 2014. We could make the first juice in 16, little bit, and the first commercial vintage was 2017. Now, Vermentino is special. Why? Because it's called the wine from the sea. You're going to taste tonight, and it's mineral, it's salty, and it has many layers. But as Guy was saying, it's drought resistant, meaning for this country where we're facing sometimes very dry summers, it's an important aspect. It's also more resistant to sickness than other varieties. It's very productive, so farmers love that. Big bunches, golden. You look at these vineyards and you get in love with this, amazing grapes and berries. And it needs to be trained in a certain way, but this is more technical. My husband would be very happy to explain every single detail, but it needs special Italian training.
That's interesting. So you can't grow it as a bush vine. It needs to be trained to deliver its best.
To deliver the best quality needs to be a double arch.
Wow.
Usually, the vines are on VSP, so a long cordon. But Vermentino doesn't like that. It loses points of production. So after a few years, you have less production and unbalanced grapes. With this kind of system, you get the best and performing for a long time, and the quality is amazing.
I can hear that you know your winemaking, and I'd love to know, where did it start for you? Where did winemaking as a journey begin?
Well, I was born in a barrel, actually, in a sense that my family had a little wine farm in the northeast of Italy. My father is a real farmer. He lives for his vines and his land and his soils. I actually didn't want to be a winemaker when I was young. I wanted to be an auditor or a lawyer. Guess what the boring
More
life I
money
would
in that,
have.
eh?
Yeah, well, that's for sure. But I fell in love when I was 18, when actually his winemaker had a little car accident and couldn't make it for the harvest. So he asked me, he needed help in the cellar. So we got to the first grape we were harvesting was the Pinot Blanc. And, for me, the first day was just the process of helping my father with work, with, sort of hard work, moving pipes, unloading and pushing buttons on the press and whatever. But when you press or when you harvest a white wine, what you do is to the stem press and then put the juice in a tank. Then you cool down the tank, it settles the solid parts and it becomes clean and neat. And then you move that mass to another tank and you start fermentation. Now, on this process, the morning after, when I went to check the tank if it was clean, to move it to another tank, I lift the lid of the tank. And the feeling was like being in a huge basket of green apples. And I just, started wondering how I can experience new flavors with the new grapes. So it started there with the Pinot Blanc, first grape. And tonight you're going to taste the Pinot Blanc, which I found in South Africa after 34 years from my first Pinot Blanc. So it was for me a sort of a bumps exercise and experience, because there is not much Pinot Blanc in South Africa, which is a French variety, very popular in the Alsace, in Austria, north of Italy, but not here in South Africa. It's an elegant, beautiful, beautiful variety. It's one of the parents of the Pinot Grigio, more famous, because Pinot Grigio is a cross between Pinot Blanc and Pinot Noir. Pinot Blanc is a beauty, and in the glass you will taste the green apples that I was talking about.
Before we get into the wine offering, I'd like you just to share with us the business offering that you have in Paarl. Besides establishing Nomoya as a wine producer, you also offer viticulture consultancy, is that correct?
Yes.
And there's something called the Wine Hive.
Yeah,
Please share those two elements with us.
Well, the company, it's three of us, and we gained lots of experience in Italy, and we gained lots of experience in South Africa. So we landed in South Africa in 2003 on an holiday. Our journey was amazing. I will never stop thanking South Africa for all the gifts I got in my second life, and I feel this country as being my home. So I will go back to Italy every year for an holiday, but not to leave. I like it here.
Don't you have to check in with La Familia?
Yeah, well, you need to check in. Otherwise, they just, your inheritance is gone.
That's it.
Yeah.
Come back home.
But we have so much to give. Italia is for example, is my example. I've been blessed with many mentors in my life. So I didn't go to university for being a winemaker. I had lots of mentors. So my little dream is to mentor Talia in a way that she's going to flourish and she's going to have something to say in this wine industry in South Africa. The same for other producers. We have been working on rejuvenating old vineyards, because the farm we had, the plantings were old, and my husband has lots of experience on that. And we have this Italian, of course, background and lots of experience on that. So we're consulting farmers in the viticulture side. I must say Attilio is also part of the Italian corner at Babylon Store and Garden. So because, Italians are very fussy about food. So when we got here, there was no artichokes, no asparagus in a certain way, or very expensive, like thin at the supermarket, coming from Thailand. So we said no. So we're growing our own vegetables. And again, it's an experience. You give the flavors, you teach how to cook because, again, Italians are fussy. We want one tomato for one thing, and then the other tomato is for another thing. The shapes of the pasta needs to be for that sauce. You can't, just use bolognese for all the shapes. It's forbidden. So that's the consulting part. And then, when I had guests coming from all over to visit us to South Africa, I didn't find any place in Paarl where I could show what South Africa can do in terms of wine. So the Wine Hive, again, was born just by chance because I was actually looking for a space to rent to apply for the liquor license you need to try the wines we were producing. And I bumped into this beautiful heritage building in Main Road in Paarl. And I could see my Italian enoteca or wine bar, just developing. So what we have there is actually now almost 300 South African wines coming from all over. It's not only Paarl. Nomoya is one of those. So it's not specific. We don't have a special shelf for our wines. We have 70 or 80 Italian wines. We have some Spanish, Argentina. And what we do during the day is 20 wines by the glass, which is a mixture between South African and Italian. Any bottles from the shelf can be at the table at the same price as the shelf. We do events. And what we do basically is to talk to our guests and share what we know and what we like and the food and the good life.
Can we get Italian food at Wine Hive as well?
Yes, my husband is a chef.
Chef, doctor, agronomist. Wow.
Yeah, he's also a skipper.
Skipper. Can he sing?
No, that absolutely I don't suggest him to test him on singing. No, absolutely not. And he cannot dance. That's all. No. We had an event now for Valentine's Day at the Hive. It was wine, dine, and tango. Now, my husband stayed away for anyone asking him if he would like to dance because he is absolutely negative on that. But we also do pizzas.
Yes.
The real Napolitan base, the high crust. And what we do, offer food, is charcuterie and cheese, Italian style, either imported or made in South Africa. Fresh, so there is no fixed menu. I actually find it very interesting when, people from Paarl especially comes to the shop and they ask for a menu and there is, just 3 lines. Pizza and margherita, that's one, but the other is at my day. And they look at you, but where can I choose? No, you can't choose. I mean, I'll tell you what it is, fresh, and then we don't have pineapple or banana, so forget about that. And so we go on like that.
Sure. So let's get into the wines because I'm sure the aromas are tantalizing your buds as you sit here listening to us. You have 8 wines in your range, is that correct?
Yes.
Is that just the start of even more, or are you particularly focused on curating a limited number of wines in terms of your offering?
We're going to have a few more, which are Italian varieties.
Okay.
So we have Sangiovese, Nebbiolo, and Barbera coming. So the three Italian reds that are actually grown in South Africa since a long time.
Are they in quarantine at the moment?
Yeah, they're boiling in the pots, and we need to wait. I'm not very patient, so I must say, when I go and taste and they're not ready, it's like, I can't bottle. But it's very interesting because these wines, the character of the Italian variety is there, but the South African soil and climate gives the touch, and that's the beauty for me, because you get, I always say that the difference between the Italians and the South African wines, mainly for me, is the sun that I can taste in the glass when I taste South African wines. Yes, Italians are elegant and they're fresh and but the sun and the summer. I feel the summer always. Doesn't matter if it's cold and miserable and rainy winter. That is my main feeling when I taste South African wines. So what we do actually, we play around with the varieties, but helping also producers that are caring about old vines, because South Africa is the only country that has a certification for old vines and old vine wines. And we need to protect that, and we actually need to promote that, because it's a unique factor for the industry. So we have a Chenin old vine, we have a Pinotage, and all our wines are coming from older vineyards. Besides the Vermentino, of course, cannot be so old, but Cinsault, for example, of tonight is also from an old vineyard, not yet 35 years old.
And I was just going to define for some people, do you know what an old vine means? And it's 35 years or older. That's the definition according to our legislation, isn't it?
Yeah.
I would like to ask if there's any questions, please. This is a conversation as well. I know I've been asking all the questions, but as I said at the beginning, it's also a chance for you to ask. So if you've got anything that springs to mind now, feel free. Anything? No? Happy to proceed.
I think
happy to proceed. Let's get into it. Nomoya Vermentino 2021. Only 7,000 bottles for this vintage. And Michaela, the nose is exquisite. But yes, take us through. So we're starting left to right. Yes, the first white on your left and moving.
You can see it's a bit more yellow than the other one. This is because 30% of the wine was aged in old barrels. The beauty of the Vermentino is the many layers of flavors it has. As I told you, it's called the wine from the sea for this minerality and the saltiness on the taste, but the nose changes all the time. They say if you're a Chenin or a Sauvignon or a Chardonnay lover, you're going to love Vermentino because it has flavors that reminds you of all three varieties. Vermentino can be made in many styles. It's like the Chenin. So easy drinking, fresh, fruity, fresh, young, too rich and complex, and dessert wine also.
I know a lot of winemakers don't like to lend too much to the tasting of wine in terms of what you should smell or taste, and I completely respect that. But I think because Vermentino is so unique to all of us in terms of experience, would you mind kind of sharing just a little bit of what we might pick up, what we should be picking up, just so that we can remember for next time?
Yes.
You said salty, you said sea, but was that on the palate? Or?
That's on the palate.
Yeah. So
on the nose, you're gonna get the golden apple, the yellow golden apple. Then you're gonna get the white peach, an inch of guava here and there, just very small. And
can I give everyone a tip? If you, when you're trying to nose a wine, and if you just get completely overwhelmed by the aroma, smell your own body. You just sniff your own hand, and it resets your senses. So you sniff your own body, and then you'll find you'll be able to smell. You can smell that part as well, but that gives you completely different flavor profile. Just the hand. The hand is usually not, unless you've coated it with some fancy cream. Then it doesn't really work. What I mean is just your natural body odor resets your olfactory system.
But the pineapple, I pick up pineapple now coming through. So the more it changes the temperature, the more flavors are coming out.
What do you think? Opinions?
Tropical, that dries wonderfully. It reminds me of using like clean peaches and put sea salt on it. Gives me that same sort of sweet vibe.
Oh wow!
Clean peaches and salt, sea salt.
Fantastic.
That's amazing, Hector. Thank you. Sure. Any other opinions, ladies? You want to? I won't pick on anyone.
Delicious apple.
Golden delicious.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's what's springing to me.
Golden delicious apples.
Apple, like
I don't think I've ever encountered a white peach.
A white peach.
Like peaches are usually
Yeah.
peach color to me, and I don't know what a white. Huh?
The European.
Yeah.
Do they smell differently to our peaches?
Yes.
They're more like a nectarine.
Yeah.
Ah, thank you.
Yeah.
Okay. Yeah, learning something. Learning. Yeah, who's got one? None of us. No, because they come from Europe apparently. So.
Oh, I'm from Tata, Eastern Cape.
Eastern Cape, they have. Yeah, it's Western
Do you
Cape.
have white peaches in Umtata?
Yeah.
Seriously?
Like full of the carpet, like half the peaches.
Well-
You got the white ones, and you have normal ones, and then you also have those ones.
Do
But I feel different types of peaches.
do the people produce them there to sell? Do they sell them in bulk? Because there's some business for you. Woolworths will buy those, I'm sure. That'll be very unique offering.
Yeah.
Like they talk different, like they grow in different seasons. Not the same as like peaches. But I just not sure that we have like peaches. We know that there's peaches for summer, there's peaches for
And peaches for winter.
Yeah.
That's amazing.
Yeah.
I love it.
But yeah, we just
And in terms of taste, what do we think? What do we feel?
And there is this.
So that's not buttery like Chardonnay, but not that very rich buttery. You know what I mean? It's like a soft buttery.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's maybe one.
And like you said at the beginning, if you like Shannon or you like Chard, you'd love this. And as you said that, I'd taken my first sip and I was like, oh, it's got like a Shannon entry and then a Chardonnay delivery. It's weird. It's such an interesting flavor.
Yeah.
Okay.
Alcohol
percentage.
It's 14. Yeah. Yeah.
Okay.
Look, you know, the wines in South Africa that are below 13 are a bit unripened, so green and because you get the ripeness of the flavors, because you know you don't look when you harvest, you don't look only at sugars, which does form in alcohol. You look at pH and acidity, yes, but our job is also to go and taste the grape. So when the grape has the right flavor, then we harvest. And for many of the varieties grown in South Africa, the ripeness is when the alcohol is going to be around 14. So it's difficult to get less alcohol unless you take it out afterwards.
If there's no further comments or questions about this particular wine, let's move on to the second white, which
Sorry,
is.
guys, just on that, when you de-alkalize, so I know a lot of the guys are moving 2 or 3% for export into Europe because they don't like the 14% wine. So they can remove 2 or 3% now with the technology.
You can.
Is there what other value does it add other than just bringing the alcohol level down? Does it actually improve or not really?
Look,
Good
there is a technology that is inverses osmosis. Yeah. So what you do, you bring a little quota of your tank to zero. You don't work on the full tank, and then you blend back just to bring down the alcohol. So the flavors are not changing. You're just adjusting the alcohol. You do that especially if the flavors are there, but the alcohol is too high, and it gives you this warm, hot burning, and then you need to balance that out. It's an expensive procedure, of course, because you lose some of the wine. But below 15 is not really a big problem around the world. Above 15, you consider liquor. In some countries, then you pay much more excise duties and all that. Yeah. But this is well balanced. You don't feel like 14. It gets the velvety and the softness and the nose. It doesn't pick up any alcohol.
So the next one is the Pinot Blanc 2022, also known as Pinot Bianco in Italy, Weissburgunder in Austria and Germany. and only 474 bottles were produced of this vintage. So we're very privileged to be tasting this tonight. Thank you, Michaela.
Thank you.
And I had to do a little bit of research, if I'm honest, because I was Pinot Blanc, and I've heard of Pinot Noir, so I thought, but let me do a little look. So Pinot Noir Blanc is a variety, and then Pinot Blanc, they're both not a variety, but Pinot Noir Blanc is a white wine, and so is Pinot Blanc. What's the difference?
Oh, wow. It's two varieties. A Pinot Noir Blanc version is, you don't do skin contact, so it becomes a white wine, but it's actually the grapes is red.
Red grapes.
The Pinot Blanc is white, actually yellow-green when you harvest. That's, I think, where you get this green apple flavors. It's a beautiful grape. The bunches are small, very compacted. So when you take it in your hand, it feels like something solid, and you taste it. It's crunchy like the green apple. And I was very emotional when we crushed these grapes, because it was years I wouldn't make any Pinot Blanc. It was my first grape, but it came also again. South Africa gives us many gifts every year. November 2 years ago, we were having dinner with a very good friend. He has 4, 5, 6 big farms. And I was telling him, I don't know why, we were talking about how I got to winemaking. So I was telling him the story. And he said, wait a moment, but I have 4 rows in the orphanage corner in my farm in the Paraba. I said, no, can't be. Yeah, I promise you. So we went to have a look, and it was Pinot Blanc. Orphanage corner, because in that farm he has sort of 500 hectares on vines. So when he plants 10, 20 hectares, and what's left, he puts in the orphanage corner. So he got probably a few bunches of vines when he was planting Chardonnay, which was not Chardonnay, and he planted in the orphanage corner. That's why I got this beautiful grapes. So we made more vines, so we're planting more. But that was, again, it's a gift, because what are the chances that you can do something that you did when you were very young, and having dinner with a good friend? I mean, it's just amazing.
Yeah, slightly far apart. In terms of the wine, what should we be?
It's very elegant on the nose and on the palate. It gives you the freshness of again, I'm repeating myself, but the main flavor, the main character is the green apple. And it's crispy as a green apple on the palate too. It's a very good blender, because it has this buttery richness per se. So a Pinot Blanc is always rich. But on its own, it's a beautiful wine.
Thoughts?
It seems a lot more complex than the first one. Now, as we said, after about the 3rd taste, it's sort of now beginning to develop.
And it's long. It stays long on your palate, and it's yes.
I initially found that it's quite salty, but like that warming salty, like it paired really nicely with like a steak or a nice piece of dark chocolate. It's like a sweet salty.
It's the minerality of the soil. This Pinot Blanc is growing in the Paraba area, where there is lots of granite, sandy soils, and that comes from the soil. Together with the high acidity, Pinot Blanc is always high in acidity. So the acidity highlights also the saltiness. It's less mineral than the Vermentino, but it tastes more.
Tell you what's amazing for me, it's the first time I've ever picked this note up in a while. It gives me a glass. Like, but that tequila from. You're getting that white pepper glass note that you pick up.
Scott, you drink a lot of tequila. Do you pick that up as well?
No, so I'm saying it does resonate somewhat.
But you got on the nose, got that like white pepper glass note that you.
It would be something like alcoholic.
No, I just said you drink a lot of tequila.
Drink one.
Well, what I meant is you know a lot about tequila. If you haven't already finished the first glass, I always like to go back and revisit the nose and compare the nose of the first one to this one. Sniff the glass, maybe. There are some more next to you there, sir. So yes.
Yeah. Yes. There's only three wineries, three producers that made Pinot Blanc in South Africa.
In South Africa?
Yeah.
You
There's
hear
one,
that, ladies and gentlemen? There's only 3 wineries that produce Pinot Blanc in South Africa.
so one is us, but we can't consider, I mean, the quantity was very small. The other one is Lanzerac. They do a very nice Pinot Blanc. And the second one is Mariette. So these are the 3 that actually you can find.
Any other questions? Comments? Delicious. Fabulous. This is why Michael is here. He wants to hear this, wants to marinate in your compliments. Burst with flavor. Okay. Are we ready to move on to the third wine? And this is the Grenache Noir 2022 from the Swartland as well. Okay.
Look, I'm gonna tell you something now. You're gonna probably convert yourself to drink Grenache Noir. Okay. Because the beauty of having the wine hive is also, you need to dig into the stories of other producers, how they get to the varieties. I like to link the same variety grown in different countries. So it was not new to me that Grenache Noir is actually grown in Sardinia. Okay? But there, it's called Canonal. Don't ask me why, because that's a secret of the Sardinians don't want to give out. But it's called Canonal and it's Grenache Noir. So there is a village in Sardinia which is scoring the highest rate of, highest number of people under the years and older. Highest number, okay? So they did a research, and these people, besides walking a lot, they eat lots of cheese and they drink only Canonal, meaning Grenache Noir. So it's called the wine of longevity, actually. So I suggest, I told my husband, we need to drink more Grenache Noir. So Grenache Noir is a French variety, grows in France, grows in Spain, where it's called Grenache, and it grows in Italy, as I said, as Canonal. It's a beautiful variety, big bunches. This is a vineyard that's a bush vine. I like the light style, cold. I find it fantastic, cold, summer, beautiful red. The wild strawberries nose is what it's, yeah.
Yeah.
It reminds me, I don't know if in South Africa you have that, but I was walking in the woods with my grandpa. And in spring, you get these little wild strawberries. They have a taste which is amazing. And the Grenache Noir reminds me of that. Very simple winemaking, yeah. Fermentation under the skins for 7 days. And then aging for 7 months in cement.
Sorry, just
That's
fermentation under the skin. What does that explain?
So after you pick, you take out the stems, you keep the must and the skins together for 2 reasons. One is the flavors, but the color. You can keep it for as long as you want, depends on your style. After a certain time, you get not anymore color, but you get different flavors. So I keep the Grenache very short time, so it's 7 days, no more. Cold fermentation, so means I don't let the wine go over 18, so it ferments cold.
It generates its own heat as it ferments.
Sorry?
Does it generate its own heat as it
Yeah,
ferments?
yeah. So you need to cool it down, yes. And you keep the fermentation because the important part to have a nice wine is that the fermentation does this, gets to the peak and then goes down. If you have, this kind of, then you have secondary fermentation flavors, which is not nice. So this does this and then goes. Yeah.
I want to ask you a question related to, but I only want to ask it if anybody else in the room would like to know the answer. So I'll ask it on your behalf. Is anybody interested in the difference between bush vine wine and trellised wine? So trellised vines are the vines that are taught which way to grow, and bush vines are allowed to just grow. Does anybody want to know the difference?
I was just wondering, is there a difference in taste?
Yeah.
Brilliant. Thank you. So,
Yeah.
Michaela, would you explain just what, the difference there?
Yeah, the bush vines, the bush vine growing system is the preferred one where you don't have water, okay? Because naturally it needs less water. So it's less productive, actually, the bush vine. So you keep the production under control having a bush vine. In Europe is the other way around. When there is humidity, then the bush vine needs to be trellised. So it is very much related to the climate, because some varieties like the Grenache Noir likes one or the other, the quality is good. It's more where you're standing, in which soil, in which climate, that you decide which kind of system you're going to use. Now, the bush vine, compared to the trellised, is more rich, more concentrated, because you keep the vine. It's not actually true that the vine grows on its own and you don't do anything. You need to train to be a nice bush, balance. So you need to, prune and know what you're doing, because that's very difficult.
Prune your bush.
Yeah, well, oops. Oops.
He's the wrong person. He's the wrong person to have misheard.
But it's more, closer to the soil. So that gives you the difference. The temperature at night, for example, when you closer to the soil, it changes a couple of degrees. So it is either higher or colder than the trellised. So it really matters where you are and what you want to achieve in terms of concentration of the flavors. For some varieties, doesn't work at all. So Pinot Blanc, for example, doesn't work. But Grenache grows bush and grows trellised. It's just really looking into your soil and into your climate, which it's not a general thing. It's your farm.
Any other questions before we move on? Let's move on to the fourth and final wine, which is your Sinsao 2022.
So Cinsault for me,
wow.
is, yeah.
Sure. It's a bomb of flavors.
The Cinsault has this meaty character that I love, which is the character that you find in many pinotages. But Cinsault per se, sometimes it's underestimated as wine of quality. It's very productive, very generous. In South Africa, it was grown to make lots of bulk and send it overseas, and doesn't matter the quality. But it's a beautiful, beautiful wine if you train your vines to keep the production lower, and it gives you this meaty nose. It's like, for me as Italian, it's like cutting a fresh salami, which is, making you. I'm hungry now.
I'm also getting stewed fruits. I don't know if anyone else. What else? Anybody else want to offer up what they? What?
Yeah.
Big raspberry notes. Yes. Thank you. Yes.
And unripened banana. I get the unripened banana.
Unripened banana.
Yeah.
Yes.
How about watermelons?
Well, I've got watermelon
Yeah.
on my socks. If you're interested.
Is he? Oh, wow.
Very, very. I find the nose has got a lot of depth to it. So it's levels. You pick up something and then you sniff for longer. And
I smell the same notes, the big one. Light notes of the Grenache.
Oh, look, they are similar in a way, but Senso is cooking on his own. It develops flavors that the Grenache cannot. So Grenache Noir, if it's not very highly concentrated and in barrels, I don't like it all. But the Senso, I like it also all the vintages.
on the palate, what do you suggest we?
Well, the acidity is quite nice,
Yeah.
refreshing. So it's good if you're eating fat food. Lots of this pork belly. Oh, I'm hungry now. Lamb.
Lamb, yes.
Yeah. So it cleans your mouth very nicely.
Yeah.
It goes fantastically on the pizza.
I think what this wine would be great with is a food pairing wine, because it's making me salivate now. So now I want to eat something. So it'll dance well with. Yeah. Yeah. Any thoughts? Any opinions? Any comments? Chris? Sorry, guys. Can I just hear what's Kurt say? Sorry.
We've done quite a few wine events that we worked on. We've always tried the wines, and I have to say, like, these wines are both unique because that's got that Italian influence. But these are some really beautiful wines that even if you're not a wine drinker, these are not really love the red wines. They're like really easy drinking, they're beautiful flavors and like complex that are easy to understand for stupid people.
Nothing stupid about you people behind the bar. We appreciate you. So, and thank you for the comment. Nice compliment.
Thank you.
Anything else you want to share that I have cut you off, or anything else you want to share about these four wines before we start to wrap up?
No, look, I think, also besides the Pinot Bianco that might be a little bit, overpriced. Yeah, no, look.
It's the one I like.
Expensive taste, like me.
But overpriced in my range because, my father taught me that wine is not a painting. You can't just buy it and hang it there and wait for the good day to drink. So the pricing on our range is also on that concept. So I make wine for you to drink daily or weekly or whatever. It depends on your health and how often you drink wine. So that's the other thing. Yeah, there is some wines, you expect to pay a lot. And again, the wine eye for me now is a fantastic school, because you get all sorts of pricing and reasoning about the pricing. So for us, it's just a matter, to have the right cost paid, a little bit of profit for what we do, and for the people to enjoy. So, yeah.
Ladies and gentlemen, dames and heren, I've got a quick fire questions. to wrap up.
Oh.
So very quickly, we're gonna fire some questions at Michaela. She has the opportunity to answer with one word or a few words if she feels. It's our opportunity to get to know her a little bit better, and then we're at the end of our evening. So bear with me as I try to dream up the most relevant things to ask in Italian. And the first one, probably very cliched, was Pavarotti or Ramazzotti?
Pavarotti.
Pavarotti. So you love opera.
Ferrari or Lamborghini?
That's a difficult one, you know. But I can answer to you
Alfa
that.
Romeo.
I
No?
was going to go with that one. Thank you.
Mm-mm.
Ferrari or Alfa Romeo?
Now, Ferrari is a car, Lamborghini is a tractor. So sorry.
There we go.
Alfa Romeo, I had a very bad experience. Yeah. So, okay.
Now tell us about the bad experience you had.
Now look,
We want
when
to hear.
they, when Fiat got involved in Alfa Romeo, it was, so I had this black 164 Alfa Romeo. The engine was a beauty. I like speed. When I drive my car, I speed.
You're Italian.
Yeah. So I got my new Alfa Romeo. Was very excited. A week later, I had this new car. It costed me an arm and a leg. I opened the door, and the rubber, the close, fell. I said, "Can't be. I mean, this is a very expensive car." No. Jeez.
The rubber was scared. All right. This one's probably not a one-word answer. Or maybe it is. Your favorite variety to drink?
Oh, no, that depends. I can't give an answer.
And
Depends.
I'll give you red or a red and a white. So favorite in red, favorite in white. I know it's an awful question. It's really awful.
I actually think that's a tough question.
No, it's horrible. No, I do it on purpose though.
Or red or white. Which one is your?
No. To ask a winemaker, it's like asking your favorite child. It's a horrible question. But
Yeah,
I'm
indeed.
interested to know because it gives us a leaning to her taste buds.
Must I really answer to this? I mean,
Okay, so your favorite white at the moment and your favorite red at the moment.
at the moment, my favorite white is a Grenache Blanc.
Mm-hmm.
And the red is actually the Cinsault.
Thank you. There we go.
At the moment, I'm not saying.
Now we can all secretly judge you. What is your favorite word in another language?
Is it also Italian? Is it included there?
In any language.
Well, amore.
Amore. I love it. It's probably the most cliched question, pizza or pasta? Pizza or pasta?
Definitely pasta.
Pasta.
Which one?
No, there is a recipe every day in Italy, so pasta.
Pasta. And then, final question, your most memorable wine tasting experience besides tonight?
Besides tonight, I was in Tokyo, and I had this. We were having dinner, and 50 people attending. We are being through our wines, and I got a gentleman coming out from a table, and he, kissed my hand, which was like, and he thanked me for sharing not the wines and the winemaking, but the story of what was behind the wines. So I decided then that I'm not going to be on wine tastings technical, but tell instead the story behind the bottle, because we all the winemakers go a long way to make good wines, and the harvest is exhausting, but what is the beauty is what is behind the bottle, your vineyards, why you planted that vineyard, how did you get there. So it's the story behind the bottle, and that was actually that night in Tokyo.
I like that. That's very nice. And it was a moment for you where you realized that's how I'm going to proceed with my tasting.
We were all concentrated, to tell the story. Okay, the Pinot Blanc is done like this, and the share,
acidity.
So I don't tell you anymore the alcohol, the sugars, and the pH. It's not a matter of interest, At the end of the story, you like a wine or you don't like a wine. And if you like the wine, you want to know what, how, where did you start it, and how did you get to produce this wine? That's it. So,
Michaela, it's been wonderful getting to know you better tonight. Thank you very much for your time and your energy with us. I really appreciate it. Please give her a big round of applause. And if you would like a photograph with her, or you'd like to continue the conversation with her, she'll be here for another, couple of
gin tonics.
for a couple more gin and tonics. So please feel free to engage with her. There is wine for sale. The prices are in front of you. You can chat to any one of us here, and you can buy by the bottle tonight or the case. The case will be by order form, obviously. In terms of via the grapevine, please join us again next month, 13 April. Please diarize that. Via the grapevine live with Blau Klippen Vineyards. And also please share on social media. And I'd